In this week's Above the Tearline, we want to look at the royal wedding that's going to happen on April 29th in London and discuss the security arrangements and the implications for the wedding. One of the things that happens when you have high-profile media event is security. Of course, for the royal wedding in London, there are a number of security malfactors that must be guarded against. Some of them are fairly obvious. For example, you have the splinter factions of the Irish Republican Army who have conducted attacks in the UK in the past. Even in recent years, in 2001, we had the real IRA, one of those splinters, conduct a bombing in London. And of course, back in 1979, we had the IRA assassinate Lord Louis Mountbatten. So that idea of the threat emanating from the IRA is certainly going to be on the minds of the British public and the British security services. Of course, there are also anarchists who pose a threat. And we saw this even last December when Prince Charles and his wife Camilla were attacked by a group of anarchists in central London. Their limousine was surrounded. It was jostled and pounded. They had paint thrown at the limousine. And it was pretty much a security nightmare for the protective detail, and it caused a lot of embarrassment for the British. And it's possible that they could try to do some sort of security theater or stunt to disrupt the wedding as well, to draw attention to their dislike of the royal family and the aristocracy in general. One of the other actors that, of course, springs to mind when we think of London, and that, of course, is the jihadist threats. From the successful attacks like the July 7th, 2005 subway attacks, but also, the London Heathrow plot and several other plots that have been disrupted or foiled in the UK. Because of this, London is seen as a potential haven or a breeding ground for jihadists, and that threat is also going to be simmering below the surface, and it's going to be in the mind of the British security services. Now, the above the Tearline aspect of security for the royal wedding is the danger that comes from mentally disturbed individuals. From my background working as a protective intelligence agent on the details of Prince Charles and Princess Diana and even Fergie, we learned in the United States that the British royals were essentially what we called nut magnets. Now, one of the problems with the mentally disturbed threat is that it presents difficulties to security people. Generally mentally disturbed individuals operate as lone wolves, and there is no sort of network that you can infiltrate a source into, or there's no sort of communication that you can intercept to know that something is up. One of the things that even a lone wolf mentally disturbed individual will have to do in order to conduct an attack is to case the place or conduct pre-operational surveillance of the attack site. This has proven to be a very successful way of locating mentally disturbed individuals and identifying them and interceding before they can conduct an attack. Of course, during the event, not only will you have the detail surrounding the principal, but there will also be plainclothes protective intelligence agents working the crowds, looking for people who just aren't right, people who are showing what we call demeanor problems, that there's something wrong with the way they are. By focusing on people who show demeanor issues or irregular demeanor, that allows the authorities to interview them and determine if there is some sort of threat posed by them. The royal wedding is going to be quite a challenge because of the variety of actors. But, of course, probably the most difficult to protect against will be mentally disturbed individuals.